Welcome back, everybody, to Healthier Vibrations. I'm Dr. Christy Smurl, and this is podcast number 14. And today we're honored to have Dr. Jayagopal on our show. So I wanted to first take a moment and say thank you, Dr. Jay, for joining us.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks for having me.
I understand you just got back into town from New York on an Ayurvedic conference. So
yeah, it was more like seminars and educational demonstrations in Ayurveda. That was what I was doing.
Thank you for joining us so early as well.
This is my time when I really have all the prana that you can imagine in life.
Yes. So I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to the listeners first.
Thank you.
So for those of you who don't know Dr. Jay is a world-renowned speaker and professor in Ayurveda. He travels all over spreading his passion for the science and art of Ayurveda. So his background, he's completed his bachelor's of Ayurveda in medicine and surgery at the Bangalore University and has also gone on to finish his Ayurvedic MD. In addition, he finished his master's in Ayurveda, his master's in acupuncture and oriental medicine. Dr. Jay is also a certified yoga therapist and a NAMA professional and has been practicing Ayurveda now for 21 years. Now, originally he started practicing in Mysore, India, but now has a thriving practice in Duarte called Atreya Herbs, or we often call it Let's All Be Healthy as well. That's where you can go to his website and find out more information. So, Dr. Jay, did I miss anything?
Nothing. My practice is in Long Beach as well. I have a main practice in Long Beach. Our herbal company is in Duarte. So that's how we want to support Ayurveda practitioners as well. So we have a Ayurvedic product company which imports organic Ayurvedic products into US. So that's in Duarte and my practice is in Long Beach.
Wonderful. Now at your practice in Long Beach, you see clients as well as consultations and treatments?
Yeah, so we do have, that's exactly what you said is correct, but also we have Panchakarma treatments. We have a integrative health, clinic. So we have acupuncture, we have Reiki, we have massage therapy, and Ayurveda. So we have integrated these things together.
That is wonderful, just wonderful. So for those of you who are listening, if you live in the local area here, you can look Dr. Jay up online and make consultation appointments as well as treatment and Panchakarma appointments.
Thank you, Christy.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about today with the listeners and to give them a little bit more background is your take on the history of Ayurveda. You know, a lot of people, maybe they attend a workshop or a little lecture at a yoga studio and they don't really know the history of Ayurveda. So I thought if you could take about some time to talk about the classical texts of India and the origins of India and just give the listeners a little bit of an introduction so that they understand the depth and the wealth of history.
Okay. Quite a complex topic to take up, but we'll do our best to give an overall picture of how Ayurveda came into existence. So one thing that our listeners have to grasp is that Ayurveda is a science that is not a medical science. I would say it's more a way of life, or it's like a larger philosophy that is meant to guide us towards a healthy way of being. And in a nutshell, one can live a fullest life for at least 100 years is what is the purpose of Ayurveda. So going back into the history, we have to dwell into the precursors for Ayurveda. The precursors of Ayurveda are Vedas, the most ancient, bodies of knowledge that are preserved by the humanity so far. So these Vedas are put together in different time frames. There are four in number. First one is called Rig Veda, which dates back to somewhere around 7,000 BCE to 5,000 BCE. So that's the time when early, humans started settling into the Indus Valley area. So Indus Valley civilization has some close connection to these Vedic, literatures. So these people were very special people because their method of knowing or gaining the knowledge was very unique. They had very specific, methodology to rule out bias and also gain the true knowledge. So these special, early settlers in the Indus Valley, they started looking at how to reinforce health in a cultural basis, not as a medical system. That's why I said in the beginning, Ayurveda is not a medical system. It is a contemplation of all possible positive thoughts put together for humans to use to live a long, healthy life. So they started introducing it into cultures and then into the way of life, like daily routines and then all that. So going back to this Rig Veda, which is the first body of knowledge to guide us to lead a righteous life. So that's the purpose of this, compilation. So there are many, the language in which the Vedic textbooks are written is called as Sanskrit, and in Sanskrit they're all written in the form of hymns. Or for us, poetry, like poetry, because to remember, to contemplate, and to keep repeating, poetry was what they used as a media. So in those days, as you remember, the only hardware that was there, the central processor was the mind. There was no computer, so everything needs to be retained. So they started writing these hymns, and in these hymns, you find spiritual well-being, mental well-being, social well-being, and also, physical well-being too. So all that information started, inculcating into these Vedic texts. So first, Rig Veda is the one which is responsible for gaining or collecting or gathering information about health. Then comes the next Vedas, that is after Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, which is somewhat similar to Rig Veda, but a little more refined knowledge and little extra information being put together, in which you will see gradually the information about health and well-being is increasing into from Rig Veda to Yajur Veda, from Yajur Veda to Sama Veda. These Vedas have a specific way of chanting, specific information, put together. So as you progress from Rig Veda to Yajur Veda to Sama Veda, you will see again some more information about health and well-being put together or gathered. And then the last one is the most important of the four Vedas, which is called Atharva Veda. Atharva Vedic practices are very special and unique to medicine. So until Atharva Veda, there is not a lot of specialty information about health and well-being. So at the time of Atharva Veda, you can see a clear, distinct knowledge about health and well-being. So somewhere around 5,000 BCE to 3,500 BCE, the Ayurveda separated Ayurveda into a branch because it became a specialty. Somebody has to learn it, somebody had to practice it to give out to the people. So they made Ayurveda as a separate branch to be studied apart from the general knowledge of Vedic systems. So that's how it came into existence. So in most of the classical textbooks, Christy, you may know this, the story that they narrate is all the human beings were suffering from diseases. So mental diseases, physical diseases, and also communicable diseases. So they were having these spread of these diseases. So these sages or rishis or the saints of those times, they all thought that they have to take the responsibility of bringing in some body of information to keep human beings healthy and alive during these crisis times. So they went into Himalayas, started meditating, and in the state of meditation, they had these discoveries, and these discoveries or what are put together as Ayurveda. Same exact way of getting information in Vedas is seen in Ayurveda too, where people would meditate and then get the information or realize the information and then put it together. So that's how Ayurveda came into manifestation.
Oh, thank you for that beautiful explanation. I forgot to mention in the beginning that, Dr. J, that you were my professor at the American University of Complementary Medicine while I was finishing my doctorate degree. And I always loved the way that you told about Ayurveda and how you brought it to the classroom. And thank you for explaining that to the listeners, because a lot of people don't understand how rich and deep the information is and how far it goes back and where the original sources of different information is. Thank you for that. I remember when we were in class, one time you were telling us about the inspiration for what made you decide to move all the way from your homeland here to the United States to now be promoting Ayurveda so widely. Between you and your wife, Dr. Anu, you're really changing the face in the topography of Ayurveda here in the United States. I know for myself, I've been working very hard as a medical professional to integrate Ayurveda with my practice and integrate it with all the different things that I'm doing and teach people. But I mean, you made this huge move and you've dedicated your entire life to Ayurveda. And I loved the story that you told us about that inspiration. And if you can share that a little bit with our listeners.
Okay. So where I think there is a powerful influence of spirit in your destiny. So when I and Anu, we were practicing in India, we had a deep desire that this science has a global, perspective or global influence. So we had that in our, hearts, that we want to spread this science, propagate this science. And we practice in a very small, facility back in India, in a city called Bangalore. In the meantime, we also we had our spiritual teacher who had said, we visited her and then we had asked her for guidance. And there were opportunities for us to go and spread or talk to people in Europe, in Japan, and then also in the United States. So when we went into for the guidance, she said, you have to go to US because that's where you need to sow the seeds of Ayurveda. Then it'll take a global, spread. Not in France, we had opportunity to go to France or Germany. So she said, no, you go to US. That's where your, real purpose of your deep desire that you have to spread Ayurveda will take grounds. So that's how it all started. It's the blessing of our spiritual teacher.
And what a blessing it has been. I mean, for myself, to be able to learn with you and to sit with you for thousands of hours was truly a life-changing experience.
Oh,
And
thank you. Thank you, Christy.
so I also wanted to let our listeners know a little bit about, where do you see the future of Ayurveda going here in the United States? I know between you and Dr. Anu, you're working so hard to, bring Ayurveda to the mainstream of health, as well as to work on the legislation portion of things to get Ayurveda not to be just a, uh, how do I want to say it? A fly by night kind of concept, but to actually create more of a true legitimization through licensing and through bringing it into mainstream of the United States. And if you could share a little bit about, what you two are doing on that forum and where you see the future of Ayurveda moving.
Ayurveda is here to stay. That's what I can say. It's going to be a medicine or a system for masses. Because it cannot be bottled up and then given in doses, because Ayurveda is such a powerful yet very motherly science that we have. So yeah, for now, Ayurveda is at the level of education. So our listeners have to know that practice of Ayurveda is growing. It's fast growing, but we are still making a critical mass. That's what we are looking at: critical mass of Ayurvedic practitioners. So the education of Ayurveda is at different levels. We have certificate programs, we have practitioner programs, we have doctor or PhD programs in Ayurveda. So the education is what is paving way, Christy, for bringing more awareness among the people and also creating more practitioners. So we have number of schools and colleges and institutions that are now offering Ayurvedic courses. Some of them are electives. I do teach at several of these institutions. One is Southern California University of Health Sciences, where you teach as well as instructor. And I also have been involved in Japan School of Ayurveda, and here in the US I have other two institutions. So the Ayurvedic education is very, very important. We need to have a very solid base of education, because anybody can say, I went to India for, like 200 hours of course, they came back and then they started practicing, would not justify what Ayurveda has to offer. So we want to solidify the quality of education, the competencies. That's where I and Anu are working towards. We work at several of these institutions and involved, not so me, but Anu is directly involved into the policy making at the National Ayurvedic Medical Association, also California Association of Ayurvedic Medicine. So to say she and the group of people who are involved are trying to bring in standards for Ayurvedic education. That's the first and the foremost thing that needs to be achieved. Once we have the critical mass of practitioners, which is soon happening, it will go into the standardization of practice, scope of practice, and it will go into licensure. For our listeners to know, Christy, Ayurveda is not a licensed practice. It can be practiced in the states where there is Health Freedom Act being amended. So there are about 14 states in which you can practice Ayurveda. So to get the licensure, we are working towards it. And the second group the first group is the practitioner, second group practice to product. So the products are also important. there is a stigma among the general public that Ayurvedic products are not safe. So we are trying to change that mindset for the people, that Ayurvedic products are really natural, direct from the harness of the nature, from the nature's pharmacy. We of course Ayurveda has many types of medicines, but in the United States we are trying to bring in the safest and the most quality product. That's why we have that company. And then the last one, so from practice to product to research. So the research aspect of it is very, very important. Anu and I are also involved in several research projects that we are putting out there for scientific community to know that Ayurveda exists for thousands of years, but it can also be measured scientifically, and there is evidence, strong evidence, for them to come to a conclusion that Ayurveda can be adopted, and it can be part of so-called where the health of United States is heading is towards integrative care. So that's where Ayurveda can be a significant player for US people to adopt and to promote and protect their health, because nowadays everybody is very proactive in promoting their health or taking health as their responsibility rather than somebody else's responsibility. In the past, you get sick, you go to the doctor, but now people look at how can I promote my health? How can I protect my health? So Ayurveda can be integrated in that sense.
Yeah, beautiful, beautifully said. I was envisioning, what if you could go to your family doctor and your family doctor already knew about Ayurveda? And if you went with, symptoms of, let's say, heartburn and burning red eyes, your doctor would know enough at that point and integrate in Ayurveda to give you recommendations. And then if you needed more, what if you could get a referral to your Ayurvedic specialist, for panchakarma and for rebalancing? You go and you say, oh, I have a cough and it's not going away with the general medicine. And then they say, okay, well, we'll refer you to a pulmonologist. It would be so beautiful if they could then say, let me refer you to the Ayurvedic specialist.
Yeah, true. I think the time is not too far, Christy, that will come into existence. We will look forward to that time. I'm also eagerly waiting, because that's one of the dreams that Anu and I have, where we want to see Ayurveda come into mainstream.
Yes, and it is more and more. I know that patients really appreciate being able to have the knowledge of what to eat, what not to eat, to take some remedies that are not pharmaceutical in nature, that don't cause side effects, and then they have to take another prescription to counterbalance the side effect. And it's really something that we need spread internationally. And I thank you for all of your hard work and determination to bring it here to the United States, and to be working with universities like Southern California University Health Sciences. For those of you listening, if you're in the Southern California area, SCUHS is right in Whittier, and Dr. Jay is teaching there. So is Dr. Anu. Maybe we'll have Dr. Anu on here as well, so they can meet her. And we also have a lot of practices local in the area, but like Dr. Jay said, there's a lot of difference between the certification levels. So really investigate what is the educational background of the person that you're seeing. Not all education is the same. And again, I thank you very much for coming on and giving us some more background about Ayurveda. Little sound bites here and there really will help people start understanding that, like you said, Ayurveda is here to stay. Yeah. And it is the beautiful, beautiful gift that these sages and rishis have passed down generation after generation after generation. And thank goodness they have, because I know for myself, it's tremendously changed my life. It's tremendously changed my medical practice and my overall view of health and well-being.
Yeah, thank you, Christy, for saying that. It is, the sages who have to be honored for this. Their intention was very focused to helping human beings. They were not interested in anything else. So that's a beautiful statement and a thought that you put here.
It's really about that purity of heart that is going to heal people and bring humanity back into alignment.
Correct.
Rather than
That's absolutely true.
the corporate system that we have of medicine right now, which is beginning to fail a lot of people. And if we can keep Ayurveda pure at heart, pure at intention, and pure in mission, as you and Dr. Anu are doing and have done, we can really change things.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you so much for joining us and taking time so early in the morning after your flight. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And perhaps we can arrange for Dr. Anu to join us as well.
Sometime, yes, absolutely. She will be a delight. Okay, thank you, listeners. Namaste to you.
Namaste.